She dared me to prove I trusted her. So I sat through an hour of mocking from her ex while she laughed. Then I played the recording that exposed his lies, left the bar, ignored 80 missed calls, and watched her realize that her trust test destroyed everything she tried to protect. We've been engaged for 8 months. My name is Ryan. Hers is Emily. It was a Friday night, 8:10 p.m., at our favorite Italian place downtown. The restaurant hummed with low conversations and the clatter of plates, ordinary life continuing around a small, private moment that already felt fragile. Emily and I met in a class. We liked the same guilty pleasure summer movies, and we had been planning a wedding for next spring. For the most part, she was easygoing. She never made scenes. Then, last week, she started dropping trust tests into conversation like they were harmless games. I laughed at first. Then she grew insistent. Tonight felt like one of those tests. Over bruschetta, she pushed her phone across the table. On the screen was an address and a bar name. "Come with me tomorrow," she said. "I want you to meet someone." She said it like it would prove something simple. I didn't like the idea, but I wanted to show I trusted her. I agreed. The next night, the bar smelled of cheap whiskey and burnt beer. Low lights made faces look sharper. Emily's sister, Claire, sat a few stools away with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I don't like confrontations, so I told myself to stay calm. When Jason, the ex, walked in, he carried a swagger that filled the room. He slid into the booth across from me and wasted no time. "You're the lucky fiancé," he said loud enough to catch the bartender's ear. His voice pushed at people, inviting reactions. I gave him my name and a short nod. Saying Ryan felt small and steady. I focused on the menu and the sound of my fork, on not letting him see he had rattled me. He began with digs, jokes about my haircut, about how secure I must be to sit there. Emily laughed. Claire laughed too. Their laughter folded together and pointed at me. For a while, I folded napkins between my fingers to keep my mouth shut. The bar ordered another round. Jason kept going. After an hour of prodding, he pulled out an old, cracked phone and launched into a story about a plan he and Emily once discussed, running off to Denver, a promise half remembered. His voice rose. He loved the sound of himself. Emily's laughter thinned. Concern crossed her face for a second and then disappeared. I let him speak until he grew careless. When he mentioned a night in December, saying her name with a sloppy bravado, the shape of the moment shifted. He boasted about something he shouldn't have. He seemed certain no one could contradict him. I reached for my phone. I hit play on something I had recorded earlier. 30 seconds of him on the phone, voice shaking, begging Emily not to tell his wife. He swore and pleaded. There was shame in his words that undercut the loud confidence he showed now. The clip filled the booth. Silence spread. Conversations dimmed. People glanced over, searching for a show. Claire's face shifted from amusement to confusion. Emily's hand went still on the stem of her wine glass. Jason's smile faltered. He looked down at me, then at his own hands. My voice stayed steady when I spoke. A few nearby tables fell silent, forks paused midair, and someone muttered under their breath about drama and consequences and curiosity. "You filmed this." Claire spat, half laugh, half hiss. I didn't flinch. "No," I said quietly, sliding the phone toward him. "You did. You called me by mistake that night, remember? I guess you but dialed me while begging Emily not to tell your wife you'd been texting her again. So, really, this recording belongs to you." The color drained from Jason's face. The noise of the bar swelled back in like a tide. Clinks, laughter, someone playing darts. But at our booth, it was dead quiet. Emily stared at the phone like it was a grenade. Her mouth opened, then closed. "Ryan, I didn't know he was married." I raised an eyebrow. "You didn't know?" He said her name right there in the message. "I heard you promised to handle it." My voice stayed calm, but my pulse hammered in my neck. Jason snatched the phone, trying to shut it off, but I'd already backed up the file and sent it to myself. "Don't worry," I told him. "I'm not interested in ruining your marriage. That's between you and your wife. But if you ever text Emily again, I'll forward this straight to her inbox." He froze, then stood abruptly, muttering curses as he stormed out. The bartender gave me a slow nod, half respect, half pity. Claire found her voice first. "You planned this," she said, narrowing her eyes. "You wanted to humiliate him." I leaned back. "No. I wanted to show Emily what it feels like when someone turns a test into a trap." Emily's face was pale. She whispered, "Ryan, I just wanted to prove you trusted me." I laughed once quietly. "Then maybe you should have trusted me first." I stood, pulled a few bills from my wallet, and set them beside the half-empty wine glasses. The candle flickered, its flame trembling just like it had the night before. "Dinner's on me," I said. "Consider it the last test I'll ever take." I walked out into the cold, the sound of my footsteps echoing against the pavement. My phone buzzed once, then again, By the time I reached the car, 50 missed calls blinked on the screen. At the 51st, I finally answered. It wasn't Emily. It was Jason. His voice cracked through the line, small and panicked. Ryan, please, my wife found the messages. She's packing her things. She's gone. I looked at the dark street ahead, the cold air turning white in front of me. I told you, I said quietly, some tests fail themselves. Then I hung up. By Sunday morning, my phone looked like a war zone. Over 80 missed calls, half from Emily, half from unknown numbers I guessed belonged to her sister, or maybe even Jason's wife. I ignored every one of them. Instead, I brewed coffee, opened the blinds, and let the sunlight fill the apartment that had been too quiet for too long. There was a strange calm in watching chaos unfold from a distance, knowing that for once, I wasn't the one apologizing for something I didn't do. Around noon, a knock came at my door. 3 sharp raps. Then her voice. Ryan, please, open up. Just talk to me. I didn't move. Ryan, I didn't know he was married, she continued, voice trembling now. I thought you'd trust me enough to believe that. I stayed behind the door, letting her words hang in the air. Then she tried again, softer this time. He's been calling nonstop. His wife sent him packing. Claire's furious. Please, I just want to explain. Explain. That word again. The favorite word of people who never saw the damage until it hit them in the face. When I finally spoke, my tone was steady, almost gentle. You don't need to explain, Emily. You wanted a test. You got your results. Silence. Then a quiet sniff. So that's it. After everything we planned, after everything you tested, I corrected. Love doesn't need proof. It needs respect. And the moment you made me sit across from a man who mocked me for an hour, you failed both. For a moment, I thought she'd argue, or beg, or say something cruel just to have the last word. Instead, she whispered, I never thought you'd be the one to hurt me like this. I almost laughed. That's the thing about tests, Emily. You shouldn't give them if you're not ready for the answers. Her footsteps retreated down the hall. The sound faded until all that was left was the faint hum of traffic outside and the quiet hiss of cooling coffee on the counter. I looked at my phone one last time, her name flashing again and again, missed call, 81, and turned it off. That night, I went back to the same Italian restaurant. The hostess recognized me and asked if my fiancé would be joining. I smiled. No, I said, sliding into a booth by the window. Just me this time. The candlelight flickered again, but this time, it didn't feel like a warning. It felt like peace. Spring came early that year. The city smelled of rain and new beginnings. I'd almost forgotten what it felt like to wake up without checking my phone first. No endless messages, no guilt-filled voicemails. No, we need to talk. Just silence. Honest silence. I'd left my old apartment behind, along with the ghost of a wedding that never happened. My days became simpler. Work, gym, photography, weekends with friends. I didn't talk about Emily much anymore, not because I hated her, but because she had become a story I'd already finished reading. Then one evening, I ran into Claire. She spotted me first at a street market, holding a paper bag of groceries and looking unsure whether to smile or turn away. Ryan, she said carefully. You look good. I smiled. Thanks. You too. For a moment, we stood there in that awkward silence people share when they both know too much. Finally, she sighed. Emily moved back in with Mom. Jason's wife filed for divorce. He lost his job after she exposed those messages to his boss. It's messy. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. Karma usually is. Claire hesitated, then added quietly. She still talks about you, you know. Said losing you hurt more than she expected. I took a slow breath, looking past her toward the skyline turning gold with sunset. That's the thing about lessons, I said. They don't feel like lessons until they're too late. She smiled sadly. You really loved her, didn't you? I did, I admitted. But sometimes love isn't enough when respect doesn't follow. We said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. That night, I sat on my balcony, camera in hand, watching the city lights flicker like old memories, bright, distant, untouchable. My phone buzzed once more, one new voicemail. It was Emily's voice, soft and tired. Hey Ryan, I know you probably won't listen to this, but I wanted you to know I finally understand what trust really means. I hope you're happy wherever you are. I listened once, then deleted it. The night breeze carried the scent of rain, and for the first time in a long while, I smiled. Not out of revenge, not out of triumph, but because I had finally passed a test of my own. Final scene, 1 year later. I didn't realize how peaceful life could be until the noise stopped. No more tests. No more mind games. Just quiet mornings, warm coffee, and my camera capturing moments that didn't need to be explained or proven. I started freelancing full-time, shooting for travel blogs and local businesses. I even got featured in a small magazine for a photo called After the Storm. Funny thing, that photo was taken the night I deleted Emily's last message. Sometimes I still get curious about her. I don't stalk her socials, but every now and then, someone mentions her in passing. Apparently, she tried to start fresh, a new job, a new city, but people remember things. Especially when you try to test everyone around you. Jason, last I heard, moved to another state after his divorce. His reputation took a hit. Some say he's trying to fix things with his kids. Maybe that's his punishment, having to rebuild from the ashes he lit himself. As for me, I stopped looking for proof of love. I learned that trust isn't earned through traps or loyalty quizzes. It's built quietly, through consistency. And when people ask why I'm single, I just smile and say, because peace feels better than proving myself. I've moved on, but every time my phone buzzes late at night, I still think of that one moment. 80 missed calls, all ignored, because that was the night I chose myself.